Hello, my name is Debra Hamilton, and welcome to my podcast, Why Do Pets Matter? This podcast seeks to define and explain this important question from multiple points of view and disciplines. We will interview owners, breeders, caregivers, defenders, advocates, champions, and educators. The mission of this podcast is to seek and foster collaborative conversations so that every point of view feels heard, acknowledged, and appreciated. I look forward to your joining us on this journey toward a better understanding of similar and divergent points of view. It is possible to have an impossible conversation. It starts with listening first. I'm so glad you're here listening in with me. Now let's get started. Today we're speaking with Mia Horberg, who is the dedicated podcaster and digital strategist for the wonderful Preventivevet. And Mia, thank you so much for being with us today and talking about why do pets matter to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So when I called you up and asked you to be on the podcast, what was your first thought about why do pets matter to you?
It was, you only have 20 minutes or so for we might have to make this a series.
And that's fine. I'm hopeful because I know that Preventivevet is one of the foremost companies to help people with pets. Why do pets matter? And you have so many great thoughts that we spoke about before we got on this podcast. And now you're going to share with the listeners because it is really about why do pets matter when we start thinking about why we do what we do. So take it away.
Well, thank you. I am really lucky to now have 3 pets, 2 dogs and a cat. And we just actually added our second dog, a 10-year-old pug named Mabel. And, part of the reason for bringing her into our house was because of how much we feel, my wife and I feel that pets matter. And we have the space, we have the love, and the amount of unconditional love and the stuff that they put up with, that our pets put up with from us, is worth everything. I work for Preventivevet in a kind of digital strategy, podcasting, and working heavily with the marketing. And I had come from an agency, and I'm sorry, you might hear my dog Marshall nesting in the background and getting his blankets in order. But when I was working there, at this agency, I was basically just, there was a lot of, some entertainment stuff, which cool, fine. I've done stuff with that for a long time. And then a bunch of cloud computing stuff. And I just, every time I would, every day, basically, I just kept thinking to myself, this doesn't matter. This is not helping the world at all. And, I'd come home and just be kind of in a bad mood, but, just coming home to see my fur babies and of course my wife, it just made everything better. And my life, I guess it just pointed out to me how important the time is with my loved ones, with my animals, and how much enrichment they give to me. There's a lot of, I think, there's a lot of thinking around I give this to my dog, I give this to my cat, and aren't they lucky? They're so, I see all over the internet, they're so spoiled. But it's are they really even spoiled? They give 150% of their life on earth to just, loving us and helping us, and in ways that we don't even recognize. So when I saw the job opening at Preventivevet, I have to tell you, it was the easiest cover letter I've ever had to write in my entire life. And it was one of the only, it was one of the only jobs that I even applied for, because I was like, I need to be doing something with my time that is going to help others. And our entire purpose at Preventivevet is to make it so that people are aware of the things that, are that you can prevent. Obviously you can't prevent everything. There's just no way to do that. Um, but there are for a lot of other things, especially things that are brought regularly into the animal ERs and the vet. And a lot of it can be expensive. So we don't want anybody to have to make the choice between, feeding themselves and taking care of their animals. So if there is a way to prevent any suffering, any frustration, we just want to make better lives for animals and their humans. But of course, animals first.
Well, you pointed out that there was a time when you really realized you wanted to do something more. And a lot of that, I think I heard you say, was driven by the fact that you wanted to be with your family more, which included your pets, and how they make you feel every day by giving that 150%. It really does feed our souls. And
Yeah.
it's a feeling that pet owners get that really creates a synergy that keeps all pet owners wanting to make sure they get home in time for their dogs. They feed their dogs the best food. They provide them with the best services so that they have the longest life they can. But quite frankly, pets matter because they really, at least for most of the people I've spoken to, ground us. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, Marshall, when we used to live in Brooklyn, he and I would walk for hours, slow walks, and not getting very far necessarily. But he literally made me stop and smell the roses, and appreciate nature, and like more than I ever had. He made me slow down and check in with myself and check in with him. Like, I think a lot of the times our animals are a reflection of ourselves. And so, if he was acting strangely, I'd check in with him and with myself, just seeing what is going on in our environment, and also just being really tuned into him. I mean, that's another thing. But I also, just before I forget, want to remember to say that, in terms of the love and the grounding, I love my wife beyond measure, but she will never be as excited to see me regularly as my dogs and my cat, for that matter. Like, there's nobody that is gonna consistently be as excited to see you as your animal is.
Absolutely, because they don't have bad days. They really don't. Unless they're not feeling well, and
Right.
then we're right there taking care of them. But they don't have bad days, so they're always just right there. They're their best selves all the time. And although we like to think we can be our best selves, sometimes we're not. And I think it's perfect that you said that, because I'm sitting here thinking, well, my dogs greet me the same way every single time. My husband, depending on his day, not so much.
Right. Right. Well, you're talking about being grounded and everything. I mean, they're present to the moment. They're very alert to the moment, and a lot of times, they'll alert us to the moment and be like, hey, something's outside. And that's maybe their alert barking, and that's not even necessarily a bad thing. I've kind of changed my thoughts a lot on even just their regular behavior, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, dogs have nuisance, barking is a nuisance, but really a lot of the times it's them just being present to the moment, and maybe there is something that you should be paying attention to outside. Yeah, I just, in terms of the grounding.
And the mindfulness. They really
Yeah.
are mindful of how we feel.
Oh my gosh.
Right? You
Yeah.
have probably 6,000 or 7,000 times when they were aware of how you felt and provided you with the care that you needed, either excitement or comfort.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, I know that I'm not alone in this, but when I am sad or sick, my animals are just the best nurses. They're there immediately, and they don't leave my side, you know? And I think that that's a regular thing that happens for I actually don't like using the word owner, just I like saying, you know, where they're humans and there are animals. But they're just, you know, they're sentient beings. I really sometimes feel like I get advice from my animals. You know, they'll give me a look and it's like, whoa.
Right. They read our minds, which is a little scary.
Yeah, absolutely. It's scary and it's beautiful. And, you know, it really has made me check in with them. Like, I have a tendency to let my mind go to, I mean, not on purpose, but, you know, I think I just grew up like this. My mind can go to really bad places, and they can snap me out of it. By really bad places, just like worry wart stuff. And
absolutely. You know, we think of all the things that might go wrong because we have to pre-plan, and then we live with our pets, and the pre-planning is, it's going to happen. Don't worry. Good and bad, right? And you're just going to be able to meet it head on, and I'm right here by your side. So when you think about why do pets matter to you in your life, when did pets start impacting your life? Did you have kids as pets as a kid, or did you get them as an adult?
So I had pets as a kid, but, you know, looking back, I feel terrible because now I have all this information that I didn't back then. And I really am like, you know, I'm trying to do better now.
I'm not sure all that information was available when we were kids. Because veterinary medicine, look at Preventivevet. It's, you know, it's brand new. It's not as old, and we have more information now than we had, so we can always provide the best care now. So
right, yeah. Well, you know, and also I was a kid. How much did I know about like socializing my dog? You know, when I'm barely socialized myself in 5th grade.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. And cats, I really had no idea what to do with. But I've always loved animals. I just don't think that I was given, well, we didn't, like you said, we didn't have the proper tools. But also like, even with some of the stuff, it wasn't exactly right. And so when I became an adult, as happens sometimes, you get into a relationship and somebody has a pre-existing pet, and that's what happened to me. And actually, I am pretty sure I was in the relationship because of the dog. I certainly stayed in the relationship longer than I should have because of the dog. But the best thing about that relationship was that it taught me actually better care for a dog, and it helped me realize that like I was in the right place to be able to take care of. And at the time I didn't know, but I learned very quickly to let a dog take care of me as well. And so when I actually got out of that relationship, we had adopted a dog together as well. When that ended, she actually kept both of the dogs at first, because I was moving to New York from Chicago. And about like, I don't know, a month later, I got a message basically saying, you know, I can't take care of Marshall. I'm giving you first dibs. And I was like, that's not a dibs thing. That's my dog. I'm coming to get him. And I didn't have a plan. I actually found out that I was getting Marshall back like the day I went to pick him up the day after I got my first full-time job in New York. So things kind of happened very quickly, but I realized in my taking care of Marshall and him taking care of me, it actually like also made it so that I focused on what was most important. And I really feel like he helped me make better decisions in living. And he continues to, he is something that he and Mabel and our cat Mazel, were the house. They're, top of mind. I don't make really any decision when it comes to like going out or anything else without thinking of them first. Their comfort, their happiness, their health is first and foremost. They take care of me, and I'm committed to taking care of them. They matter because they make my life so much better.
Absolutely. It's interesting as you know, I mediate just conversations of that kind when people break up and have to figure out what to do with the pets. And most of the time, if you leave the door open, pets do sort of land where they need to land. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that Marshall landed with you and that you were able to take him given the situation, because we all know sometimes we get apartments that allow pets, sometimes we don't. And it was great that everything sort of fell into place. I always think the universe shifts so that we can take advantage of the opportunities that come our way. And for you, the fact that you moved from one state to another, and then were able to bring one of your beloved dogs with you later on, that is the greatest thing, because it really does. I thought it was perfect when you said, it made me make better decisions about my next steps because I had somebody I needed to think about as well as myself, which is what Why Do Pets Matter means all over the place, because they do give us the opportunity to feel so good about ourselves and really give us the love, unconditional love, but yet also enable us to be our best selves. So it's just been so interesting to hear the story of Marshall. And now he's with you still and providing you with all the things that, good dogs bring, and good cats too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's funny, actually. I think that Marshall had a big part to do in my meeting my wife, because I moved with him to Brooklyn to give him a better space and like a bigger space and a lot of great walking places. We were by the pier, and that's how I met my wife, by living in the same neighborhood. And she loved him too immediately, and he loved her. So that's another thing. Animals are really usually pretty good at reading other people.
Absolutely. And they take us to the places we need to be. So I'm sure that, the walking and bumping into people and having people really respond to Marshall gave you a little more grounding in the neighborhood so that you felt comfortable. And also, of course, gave Marshall better grounding in the neighborhood by meeting all the neighborhood dogs and their people attached to the leash.
It's how I met everybody, really. And he was like the mayor of our part of Brooklyn. Like he knew everybody. Everybody loved him. People, like, I was the only one really that walked him, but people would be like, "Oh, is that Marshall?" And I'm like, "What? Does he have a blog or something? How do these people even know him?" But he just, would bring a smile to everybody's face. And I mean, that's enriching for my life as well.
You're never alone in a new place if you have a dog.
It's true. Yes.
You get to know people really quickly. And before we close, I really want you to tell the listeners how Mabel came into your life.
Oh gosh. Well, we actually, our Preventive Vet podcast, Pause and Play with Dr. J, we had an episode that we did about the importance of adopting senior pets. And so after that, it really had an effect on me. Just thinking about it, talking to some other people who had fostered seniors and adopted seniors, and just, it's shelters are no place for senior pets. So, I mean, they're no place for anybody, but especially seniors. So, I told my wife that when we bought our house, we were in the process of buying our house. I said, when we buy our house, we close, we can start thinking about adopting a senior. Let me tell you, the second we closed, literally the second that we closed, she had sent out like 4 different applications to different senior rescues. And we picked up Mabel like the next weekend.
What a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for Mabel, and also opportunity for you, because many people with senior dogs, they really, sometimes their owners pass away.
That's what happened with her. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I work with people to try to do, is to find that next place, soft landing. And thankfully, Mabel found the soft landing with you for their older pets, because it really is important. As you say, it's not easy to adopt. And I love Pause to Play with Dr. J is one of my favorite podcasts. I listen to it all the time. And I hope everyone who's listening to this will take a trip over there and take a listen. There's such great information over there. And what are the 2 things that you want to leave my listeners with, that to you, the quintessential why do pets matter?
Well, okay. Number 1, I can tell you that sometimes even when you are frustrated with yourself, when you're frustrated, I mean, there's so much to be frustrated with in the world in general. But when you are when you're needing that unconditional love, which everybody needs, you look no further than your pets. They matter when a lot of other things really just don't. And they can, snap you back to remembering the importance of things and how good things can be. Also, they're goofy. They're snuggly. I don't know.
They physically make you feel good, both to be hugged by them and hug them, and also to laugh at their crazy antics.
Oh, yeah. Well, and also as kind of, I mean, I would need to look up the actual study, but actual healing powers, I mean, they have them in general. They actually do have healing powers in cats. I want to say even their purrs. If your cat is on you and won't leave a certain spot, maybe get it checked out, I would say, even, because cats have healing powers, and their purrs, I want to say, have been proven to have like the same frequency, I want to say, as like a cell regenerator.
And so they're recharging your battery as they're sitting on your lap.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're amazing.
Well, Mia, thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful and inspirational, between the moving and the recovery of Marshall and finding friends in new places. These are why pets matter to us. These are the things that really matter in the world. You can hear Mia's podcast at Pause to Play with Dr. J at preventivevet.com. And thank you so much for being on. I hope you come back again, because we have so much more to talk about.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Debra.
This is Debra Hamilton with Why Do Pets Matter, a podcast that talks about why pets matter to us. Have a great day, and we're looking forward to hearing and seeing you soon. Thank you for listening to my podcast, Why Do Pets Matter? This is Debra Hamilton, and this podcast is my passion. Do you have a great guest or idea for a topic you'd like me to explore? Go to my website and click Contact at Hamilton Law and Mediation. That's Hamilton Law, Law, and And, Mediation, mediation.com. Until next week, our pets do matter. This is Debra Hamilton, thanking you for being here.